First of all, my apologies to all the participants who were inconvenienced because of less space available in the auditorium. We did not expect so much participation, but looking into the severeness of the DP plan and DC regulation, I mean, people have participated in large numbers. Of course, we decide in our committee, but we will soon come up with one more such edition in near future. Now, basically, I am going to give presentation on part 3, 4, 5 and 6. Next. Part 3, partially I think Yogesh has already tackled. Now, circumstances warranting preparation of layout of subdivision and amalgamation. So basically, if more than 2 buildings are there, then layout will be warranted. Ancillary building will not be counted as a second building. There is some outhouse or anything, so that will not be counted. So layout may not be warranted. But if there is a subdivision and the plots are more than 2,000 square meters and amalgamation of 2 or more plots. Now here, basically, I think we need to give encouragement if some people are coming forward for amalgamation. In the previous regulation also, there were provisions if you amalgamate smaller plots and come out with the arrangement of a larger plot, 15% RG and all those provisions were not insisted. Of course, now present will be 10%, we'll see in the next slide. General requirements for proposals of layout or subdivision, it should be accessible from public road. All reservation, designation, DP road and sanction RL to be shown. All constraints existing on site to be marked, that may be high tension line or nala is there, that needs to be marked. Area of amenities as required as per 11.4 to be shown. Minimum road width as stipulated in regulation number 10.7. Next. Partially built up property can be developed as follows. Total permissible development rights for layout to be computed as per 2034 regulation. Development rights for building under construction completed to be computed as per regulation 2034. Now this basically wherever there are existing layouts, out of suppose there are 10 buildings proposed, 5 buildings are approved according to the present regulations, and the remaining 5 buildings are going to likely to be falling in the new regulation whenever it is sanctioned. So this will be in that category how the competition of FSI will be tackled. And maybe there is a standalone building and there is a 20-story building already proposed, 10 stories are approved according to the present regulation, and the remaining part will be falling in the new regulations. The balanced development rights to be worked out 1 minus 2 above, and NOC from the society or federation to be insisted. Now this is a catch. Basically, if there are 10 buildings, 5 buildings are already completed, 5 buildings are yet to come up. Obviously, FSI will be computed according to the new regulation 2034. But now the NOC from society, this will be a difficult task. I think already 19.2 clause of Housing Regulatory Bill tackles this, because the society has a right under the MOFA only below the building, and they do not have rights. Developer has a right up to the completion of the entire project. The balance FSI, whatever accrues, that developer can utilize that. So this needs to be addressed. Next. Partially built up property can be developed as follows. This is a continuation. Deficiency in physical provision of layout amenity. Road as per requirement shall be made good as per the direction of commissioner. Now this there will be, if there is an existing layout and transition period is there, this, whatever the new requirement will be there for amenities, this will be controlled by municipal commissioner as per the direction. In case of subdivided plots, there are 10 plots in a subdivision, all the plots are separate, but if you are developing only one of the subdivided plots, that will fall in 2034 regulation as per 11.4b. Next. of layouts. Now, MCGM is expecting, obviously right now also we are complying construction of roads before grant of commencement certificate, provision of street lights, stormwater drains, sewer lines, water mains before grant of OCC, and BCC to buildings after layout completion certificate. So at present there is no layout completion certificate required. I presume now this new addition will be there. Layout completion certificate will have to be obtained. Next. Now, basically, the 15% RG or 25% RG as per the size of the plot, what was the present regulation provides, that is regulation number 23. This is replaced by amenity open space. So how we will provide the amenity area from a plot with the gross plot 10% to be provided wherever the plot area are more than 2,000 square meters. Additional 5% will have to be provided if there is a change of user from industrial to residential and commercial, and 10% for development of cotton textile mills. So suppose some plot falls in cotton textile mills, so 10% this and 10% that. Total will be 20%. Out of that, 12.5% will be used for amenities which MCGM may provide, and 7.5% shall be made available to MADA for housing of cotton textile mill workers. Next. Now how the amenity space will be worked out? That is on the gross plot area minus area under existing or proposed road into percentage factor as per table number 7, minus area under reservation and designation on the plot. Next. So this is the example where the plot area is 6,000, road setback is 1,000, reservation is 1,000 square meters, net gross is 5,000, which is 6,000 minus 1,000 is 5,000, and amenity will have to be provided on 5,000, that is 10%, 500 square meters. But since the existing reservation is 1,000 meters, which is more than the amenity space, hence no amenity to be provided. Now if the same plot was an industrial plot, obviously 5% needs to be provided, and development in cotton and textile mill 10% to be provided. Now if there is a shortfall, that is the reservation is only 400 square meters, plot area is 800, 1000 goes in the setback, 7000 is the net plot area, amenity required will be 700 square meters, but the existing amenity is only 400, so that will have to be made up by providing 300 square meters so that this 700 can be achieved. Next. Now minimum dimension of the amenity space will be 8.5 meters width and 2.5 times the average width. Access to amenity space should be directly accessible from the public street. In case of plot frontage less than 13.5 meter, amenity space can be provided anywhere with a 6 meter access, exclusive access. Now requirement of a public road in a layout. Commissioner may declare any layout road as a public road to ensure proper connectivity for layout more than 400 square meters. So suppose there is a layout which is 10,000 square meters, that is more than 4,000 square meters. There are internal access roads already provided. Commissioner may insist on access to be extended to the adjoining plot. It doesn't say that because obviously this access is to be given to a landlocked property. So what will happen to the compensation or acquisition proceedings will be there. That is not clear in that. Such roads to be deemed to be roads of the development plan and shall be handed over free of cost, it says. So there is no compensation given to them. Then this contradicts access to be given to the landlocked property, where it says owner will be compensated as per the land acquisition provisions. Next. Ownership and use of amenity space, roads to be handed over to MCGM. Amenity space, roads to be specifically marked out on layout plan. Amenity space to be handed over to MCGM. MCGM to designate appropriate public purpose for recreation, open space, markets, welfare centers, etc. Deciding the use of amenity space, deficiency in amenity space of the planning sector to be considered by using radar diagrams. Amenity space, roads or reservations or designation not to be detected for calculating the net plot area, which we have already taken in the example. Next. Now these are the locations of amenity. If it is fronting a road, of course this is a better position shown. Maybe you can provide like that also, where width can be 8.5 meter and the depth can be 2.5 times the width. Or if there is you are not able to provide in the front because of any constraint, because shopping line has to be provided, existing shopping users you need to re-accommodate in the proposed building, then amenity space can be provided at the rear with a 6 meter exclusive access. We presume that 6 meter exclusive access means open space has to be left from the inner side of the access and not from this boundary. So that will have to be tackled when the open space issues come next. Now this is users. We are entering into the land use zoning. Basically, whatever is proposed is quite conducive. It is a mixed users now applicable. R1, R2, C1, C2, I1, I2, I3 all are dispensed with. There are only 4 zones now: residential or commercial zones, which residential is a predominant use. Of course, the predominant use also needs to be defined in the definitions. We presume it is 51%, that is more than 50%. If it is residential, it will be treated at par with residential commercial mixed use. And commercial uses permitted as specified. CR, that is commercial residential zone. Commercial residential mixed use, commercial certain manufacturing uses are also permitted. Now industrial zone, they have made into only one, I1, I2 or I3, they have dispensed it, it is only industrial zone. Manufacturing primary activity to be permitted, warehousing, logistics, all industrial activity to be non-polluting, conversion of land use to be permitted as specified. NA is a natural zone, NDZ is dispensed with. Now I think most of the natural zones are hilly terrains or maybe some portion of mangroves or which are unutilized places. These are all environmental sensitive zones. No building construction activity to be permitted. Next. Now uses and ancillary uses permitted in the zone. Compatible uses in the zone to be allowed. Prevent non-compatible uses. Commissioner can add users. Next. Now these are some of the examples which we narrated. I have not copied the entire regulation. These are short-term accommodation, that is a 4 or 5-star hotels. There are only 2 restrictions. It can be developed in an industrial plot, industrial building. Plot size has to be 2,500 square meters if it is in RC zone, and plots abutting 18.30. So if you see RC and CR zones, both are at par. The same users can be permitted. Now in industrial zone also it is similar. Independent plot, independent building, plot area restriction and the road restriction. Now motels, resorts, guest house, circuit house, hostels and boarding, these are also permitted like this, but there is no road restriction specified in this. Next. Healthcare facilities without indoor bedding facilities. This can be allowed on ground floor, separate access, top of podium. That is, if there are 6-7 floors of parking and first floor, whatever it is there, that can be proposed for these users. And above stilt, parking floor or first floor. Whatever, wherever you fit in, this can be permitted in RC zone. And this will be CR zone also, if you see, that is also almost similar. Next. Healthcare facilities with indoor bedding facilities, maternity homes, polyclinics. Here the road restriction has come into place. Otherwise, it is same as the earlier user. Next. Institutional uses also, here the road restriction is there. Otherwise, independent plot, independent building, separate wing, separate access, separate floor, minimum width of street plot abuts to 12.2 meters. Now this needs to be looked into because the suburbs, I think there are roads which are less than 12.2. There will be no nursing homes on a 9-meter road, which actually earlier, as per the present regulation, even on 6-meter road, R1 users were permitted. Now this will be restricted to users. Next. Offices and service establishments. Here also 12.2 is there. The present regulation obviously R2 zone said 18.30 meter wide road, but of course the 30.5, once you cross that was also treated as R1 zone, and now above 12.2 it can be any width of the road and offices can be permitted. Next. Mall shopping centers, the width of the road is 18.30 meter roads. This is what the restriction is. It can be identity or suppose the same restrictions are there. Next. Community halls, here also road restriction of 12.2 meter has come. Next. Now these are exceptions. What are the exceptions? Existing authorized use to be continued and not to be considered as non-conforming. Wherever there are redevelopment or existing uses are to be retained, this will not apply. Land under existing industrial uses to be permitted, excluding cotton textile mills. Redevelopment existing authorized non-residential users to be permitted on ground or first floor or above state parking floors in a separate way. CR and industrial zone, entire non-residential users, separate access not required. In the present regulation, even though there was an office building and if somebody was proposing a nursing home, then the files were being routed for special permission of commissioner and this was being permitted. Now this will not be required. Now conversion of industrial use. Open lands, land under industrial use, it can be converted to RC or CR, excluding cotton textile mills. Condition on NOC from Labour Commissioner, which is presently also there. Open land NOC not required. If there is open land and there is no industry existing, obviously Labour Commissioner's NOC will not be required. If the plot is less than 2000 square meters, 5% built-up area to be handed over to MCGM free of cost in the form of flats or commercial tenements. Built-up area not to be accounted in FSI. If the plot is more than 2000 square meters, as per table 7 regulation 11.4, 5% open land to be handed over to MCGM. This is the error. I think this is 10% for total textile mill. Land to be handed over to MCGM shall be deemed reservation not to be deducted for FSI computation. Next. Now these are the segregating distance needs to be provided if you are proposing a residential building or a commercial building. In case of residential building, you require 9 meters. If there is a road, the 9 meter will be taken from the opposite edge of the road. And if it is a commercial building, 6 meters all around. And here also the same thing. Obviously, there will be front open space. So this criteria may not work. Next. No residential use to be, this is 52 meters if abutting to obnoxious industries. Distance measured from opposite edge of road, nala, water course. Part holding conversion to be permitted. Here, now they have recognized that if there is an industrial use layout, part conversion also can be allowed, subject to what segregating distance needs to be provided. Other uses to be permitted in the industrial zone if it becomes unbuildable. Fuel station and service station or motor garage, parking lots and parking garages, electric substation, office for public utility concerns, police station, government and semi-government offices, warehouses and community facilities. Next. Now, circumstances under which existing non-conforming uses will be allowed to be continued. If any lawful use of land or building process existing prior to DCR 2034, that is after when it is sanctioned. In case of existing building collapse building pulled down, user to confirm the present regulation. In case of redevelopment, authorized non-conforming user to be permitted. In industrial zone, residential authorized user permitted in independent building. Non-conforming industries. So suppose there are in an industrial zone workmen's quarters are there, or if they are already existing, this can be permitted. However, it can be in only permitted independent building only. Non-conforming industries to be permitted in conforming zone only. Next. Permission for a change of sanctioned use. Now, wherever internal changes are required, whatever the plans are approved according to the earlier regulation, internal changes will be permitted. Now, building construction with more FSI than permissible, excess FSI to be permitted by charging 25% premium at ready reckoner rate for allowing change of user. So suppose a building is in Kalbadevi area and that zone FSI, whenever this regulation gets approved, is 5 and the building existing is of 6 FSI, the extra FSI for the change of user proportionate again 25% of the ready reckoner rate will have to be paid. Next. Uses permitted in flyovers. Of course, this is not for architects to be worried about. This is basically just a regulation where corporation what they can do under the flyovers. that is garden, electricity distribution station, municipal chowkis, road depot, municipal chowki, RTO, vehicle chowki, pay and park facilities for bus stands, taxi stands, auto rickshaw stands. This is, I think, excellent addition because presently the flyovers, the space below the flyovers are going waste, and if this is really put to use, it will be used properly. Next. Now, inclusionary housing. This is additional where the present government guidelines says plot more than 4,000 meters, you will have to give 10% of the area for the inclusionary housing. Now, the DCR says 2,000 square meters. Obviously, I think the planners had in mind, since they are giving base FSI more, so ultimately it will be 4,000 only. That 4,000 was only on the base FSI, that is 1 or 1.33 as the case may be. And they were omitted from set structures, MADA, slum, and all other cluster housing also. Now here they have not specified for I2R also, because whatever 37.1 government had come up with, and it is on finalization stage, 37.2 is expected. So in that, even industrial buildings also were not considered, even housing societies were not required to be provide inclusionary housing if the existing flat areas were less than 60 square meter of carpet area. But here the provisions are reversed than the whatever provision was come out in the notification. So what it says, if the FSI is 5, gross plot area is 8,000, base FSI is 2.5, the permissible base FSI will be on 2,000 because 10% will have to be multiplied by 8,000, and required area for inclusionary housing will be this much area. 2,000 square meters will have to be handled. Sorry, next. Where the FSI is 3.5, base FSI will be 2. Here, if it is a redevelopment case and the balance area is not exceeding by 2,500 meters, additional 10% inclusionary housing need not be provided. Next. 3.5 FSI where it exceeds the existing built-up area. So in this case, this much 10% over and above 2,500 will needs to be provided for inclusionary housing. Next. Inclusionary housing will be gross plot area more than 2,000 square meters, 10% of the development rights at permissible base FSI, 10% to be used for PAP, LIG, shops, industrial galas, and permitted over and above FSI permissible. Location, same plot or elsewhere. This is the formula given, wherein if they are located in the same ward but the different Reckner rate, according to this the areas will change. Area of dwelling units will be 27.88. Next. So these are the locations which we are trying to show. From this location to this location, if you want to shift, Reckner rates will be compared, and if the area was 100 here, maybe if the Reckner rate is lower here, you will have to provide more number of built-up area. Next. Exemptions, as DCR number 1, 2, 4 are exempted. In case of redevelopment, this already we have tackled. Next. 50% of the units will be used for PAPs, 50% will be used for EWS, LIC housing, outright sale. Provision for construction of transit camp. This is parallel to 3314B, where some developer can propose transit camps and hand over to SRA, where construction TDR will be given and plus the land TDR given. But here there is no clarification that TDR of the land will be included on considering the base FSI plus component A, or just the plain land FSI will be given. This clarity needs to be brought into next. Now what is the definition of computation of FSI? Floor space index, total covered area divided by gross plot. Next. Here basically, even though there are reservations and road, the plot area will be considered on the gross plot, that is 8,000. If the FSI is 5, it will be multiplied by that, and that will be the permissible FSI. So the plot, even though if it is affected by setback or amenity open space, the FSI computation will be worked out on total plot. However, these reservations will have to be handed over free of cost, which you cannot claim TDR on that. Next. Now, what will be the what are the areas which are permitted free of FSI? I would like to show the next slide. Yeah. So these are the areas. These are refuge areas which are to be allowed free. These are the terraces which will be created by the setbacks will be allowed free. The terrace room and the lift machine room will be allowed free. This parapet elevation on the terrace will be allowed free. Here the arcade will be allowed free. So these are all issues. Even the parking areas will be allowed free. But now, whatever other than these areas are there, it will be accounted. Suppose the society office is there, or there is a fitness center, or any other areas which will be beyond these areas will be accounted for in the FSI. And they have specified where these areas will not account as a built-up area. This will definitely help in calculation of MOEF consideration, because these are many of the areas, some consultants were adding up as built-up area. So this, I think they have clarified that this does not amount to the STP and ETP and the underground tank or dustbin. These all areas will not be counted for competition purpose. Next. This we have covered. Next. 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 These are the base FSI. It ranges from 2 to 8 FSI. These brown color are our base FSI, where up to 5 the base FSI remains constant, and in 3.5 the base FSI becomes 2, and in this it becomes 1.5. These are the areas normally wherever earlier presently it was NDZ zone, and now it is put to a residential zone. Since the infrastructure may not be proper, that's why they have restricted those FSI at 2. And how the base FSI, suppose we take example of 5, base FSI will be 2.5, premium A FSI is 0.5, TDR will be 0.5, and premium B FSI is 1.5. The required road width to consume this FSI will be 13.4, and above 70 or up to 120 meters. So there are two parameters, one is FSI criteria, one is even the height of the building also. So but if the FSI is more than 5 and the road width is less, but you are falling within 250 meters of the main road which is of a larger width, the same can be permitted. Next. Now this is how the premium FSI is going to work. Next. Protected development, existing built-up area more than permissible base FSI to comply with minimum requirement. Proposal approved prior to 2034 regulation can avail development right by way of TDR premium FSI without accounting for payments made earlier, concessions or condonation. This, I think, the clarity needs to be brought into where the developer must have paid 0.33 FSI premium, or it has purchased already the TDR. How it will be accounted for? Of course, concession and condonation, no refunds will be there, that is okay. But 0.33 premium or the TDR is already loaded, this needs to be answered in this. Next. Now, public car parking, obviously, this is on paper, looks good, but whether commercially it will be viable or not, that needs to be worked out as per the location. It can be allowed in independent plot, independent activity, public parking operated by owner, volume ratio to be considered. Maximum volume ratio is 12, to be permitted or not, roads not less than 18.30 meter. Out of that, 10% commercial use can be permitted. Now 10% I presume it is a built-up area, or it is to be related with volume. This needs clarification. Next. This is the example of base FSI. Development rights, how they will be given. Suppose the plot falls in 3.5 FSI and 1000 meter of plot area is there. Base FSI is 2, and premium A FSI also will be given along with this 2. So the TDR ultimately availed can be 2500 meters. The same is if it is in a 5 FSI zone, the FSI TDR will be 3 because base FSI is increased, premium A is remained same. Obviously premium A is not to be paid and to be handed over free of cost to MCGM. Next. So these are TDR in lieu of compensation for land reserved for designated or public purpose and award under Section 11 of LA Act. Zonal FSI plus premium FSI. That is what basically the criteria is for all this reservation. Even Nala widening is also to be treated as a reservation, and this will be also given TDR. Next. Redevelopment of Such buildings will be as per regulation, so and so. Heritage zonal base FSI minus FSI consumed as per special DCR 6. Built-up area provided free of cost for resettlement, built-up area of rehabilitation, built-up area for transit tenements or affordable housing schemes on private lands. So this will be the criteria. Now, TDR is going to be allowed globally. That is, Dahisar TDR can come to Camps Corner, Haji Ali TDR can go to Bandra, or Bandra TDR can go to Chembur. But there is a factor which needs to be looked into, where accordingly will be planned. So the TDR generated is at suppose M ward, and M ward rate is 60,000 meters square. TDR to be utilized at S ward, then S ward rate is 30,000 rupees square meter. So 60 divided by 30,000, so that will be 2,000 meters. The original whatever the area is, it is doubled up. Next. Now, development of land for designated or reserved for public purposes. 50% of the land to be given to corporation. On that, 40% can be the construction, and this can be for the sale building, and the developer can retain. So this X is the 40% of permissible base FSI. So in case of 3.5, the base FSI is 2. Then plot area into 2, that will have to be the amenity into 40%. And Y will be the reserved plot, whatever the area is there, 50% of that. ZB is 30% permissible base FSI can be used for ancillary users. Of course, this is for the utility of MCGM. Next. So these are the figures which we have already discussed. Next. Existing built-up area is required to be expanded for existing intended purpose. So this can be developed by government, trust or private owners. Designated plot may be developed to permissible base FSI for the designated use. And designated plot may be developed up to permissible base FSI. Use and TDR premium may be developed for other uses permissible in surrounding land. Next. It's on the similar lines. Next. Next. Yeah. Combination of public purpose used for reserved sites for buildable reservation. The shifting and or relocation of designated reservation can be permitted in the same plot or adjoining land. Should revert to the public street, not to be encumbered, area to be maintained, should be at one location, minimum dimension not less than 8.5 meters, ratio of width to the length ratio 2.5 times. Structures permitted in recreation open space. Now, I do not know, 15% garden and all is gone, how these provisions will come. I presume it is for recreation garden which are already in public use or which corporation is going to utilize. For them this is there, otherwise whatever the clubhouse developer is going to propose in a layout, that will all be accounted for FSI, because that is not mentioned in free of FSI areas. So we presume that these all users will be for public amenity, recreation, open space. So this will not be part of the layout. Yeah, thank you.